Rahshib Thomas, the man. What's up?
All things Urban League,
All things Urban League.
political landscape. This land is your land.
So let's get right to it. What position do you hold now?
Currently, I'm served as the Eastern Region Vice President for the National Urban League Young Professionals.
Okay.
I get to help serve as a resource for 15 chapters from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts over to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, which is Pittsburgh and Philly, down to the Commonwealth of Virginia,
Wow.
which is Richmond, Hampton Roads, and Northern Virginia, and all the other chapters in between.
So, what initiatives are you guys working on right now?
Well, it is 2012, and some of the initiatives that we're working on, mainly with the National Urban League, is Occupy the Vote.
Gotcha.
A lot of states are enacting, 7 states have enacted voter ID laws, and there are 20 states with those issues on the books, or laws on the books to be passed. Now, this disproportionately impacts minority communities and also elderly communities, to whereas they may require people to have an ID or 2 forms of ID or something of that nature. If we cannot change the laws in the country, we want to help people in our communities comply with the laws. So, State of Black America was released in March down in D.C., and Mark Morial, president of the National Urban League, talked about that. And so we're getting YP chapters to hold forums, just like today's State of Young Urban New York, to where we're talking about the political landscape, this land is your land. What does that mean for us? And we want people to be as engaged as they were in 2008, where 5 million new voters voted for the first time. Well, we want people to continue to have a voice. We're not saying who and how and why, but we want to make sure that they have the opportunity and the legal and fair opportunity to get that done. So if you, with these voter issues, and why we're calling it Occupy the Vote, because of course Occupy is hot. If an 87-year-old veteran shows up to the voting poll with his veteran ID, they're telling him he can't vote because he doesn't have a valid driver's license. But he fought for our country.
Right.
So it's not just my cousin who may not have an ID, it's people who have served and fought for this country that these little hiccups don't feel good. So we want to make sure that if we can't change them, we comply with the laws.
Your thoughts on Occupy Wall Street?
Occupy Wall Street, we've seen it in the Middle East, we've seen it throughout our nation over this, our history, as far as it starts as a murmur or a rumble. And then it grows and it grows and it grows. I think it started with the 2008 election, or maybe even in 2007, but Occupy Wall Street to me is a symptom of a desire for change. And I think it's a universal desire that's happening. And that's why it picked up around. From my understanding of Occupy Wall Street is that it may have one issue, but there are many people that are aligning with it because they have their own issues.
Right.
I think people just want change and they want their voices to be heard, and I think we're moving towards something. We're barreling towards the finish line to where there's going to be something very transformational, I believe.
So this morning's panel, movers, stickers, and shakers. You had a Republican, a
Yes.
Democrat, and an independent talking about the political landscape. Your thoughts on today's panel?
It's always funny when you put those 3 in the room or something. You're going to have a mix. You're going to have questions where people are going to ask, and they are going to ask questions like, "Why is the Republican Party for Black people?" Which really ignite the room with a little laughter. I was glad those 3 elements were together because it really gave us a real, a well-rounded look. I will say I took away mostly from the independent party person, Kathy Wright, who talked about opening...
Kathy Stewart, I believe.
Kathy Stewart, absolutely, who talked about opening the primaries so they're not closed in certain states so everyone can vote. I thought, if nothing else, that makes sense. Everything in our society becomes a business, or there becomes an opportunity in it. So I think this morning's discussion cemented that to where people are, the 2 parties that are in power are continuing to run the operation, and they can make the decisions for everyone, when a lot of the people, what we saw also in 2008 election, the independents voted because a lot of people don't want to align with the certain parties because they're not happy. So it also, some of the takeaways from this morning were Senator Kevin Parker talked about how it is the political landscape does affect our banking and our housing and whatnot. Who's in charge of these committees? Who goes here, goes there, that make the decisions that affect us, it's very important. So last takeaway I got from that is that, how on a local level, how we can make an impact. Senator Kevin Parker said, you give $10,000 to the bigger campaigns, you may get a nice thank you card. But if you give $10,000 to a local affiliate, a local campaign person or candidate, you're on their speed dial. Your face is on their phone, and they know who you are because you've helped them. So it's really understanding what you can do at the local level and continuing to get engaged.
You're very passionate about what you do. So what's next for you? Is it just really focusing on these initiatives and what you guys are doing now as a collective group and organization?
By day I'm an HR professional, so I know that a lot of things have to come from repetition. And as the National Urban League, we've been having this conversation for 101 years now, almost 102 years. So what I do know is that we have to be consistent with our actions. And as a national board member for the National Urban League Young Professionals and a member of the New York chapter, I get a chance to help with that repetition. I support President Jamar Ward and CEO Arthur Rice and our National Urban League President, YP President, Brandy Richard.
We have on April 4th.
April 4th, right, with Creme Magazine, and she just recently went to China, and it's going to be hot. You're going to hear about that, and you're going to hear about just all that she's doing and how she's leading the young professionals, and we're really excited about that with her. What I do know and how her team is supporting the nation is being consistent. We have these forums, but if you don't follow up on anything, then it was all for naught. And it's just reminding people that there is an opportunity to get engaged and to help change their political landscape, and that they do have a voice and they're more powerful than they think they are. Now, with that follow-up, sometimes it comes in an email, sometimes it comes in our Facebook, sometimes it comes in, Wave TV 45, that you can have a live stream, an outlet that reminds people. Sometimes they hear it today, there's a seed planted, they're busy with their lives, they're trying to make $1 out of 15 cents, they're trying to make ends meet and get to their next level in their career. But it never goes away, the desire to make a change or to really follow up on what they heard and they learned about how they're more powerful. So we as YPs, as a collective body, are continuing that message and offering outlets and opportunities for them to be consistent and to make change and get involved.
So now, if there's somebody on the fence of becoming a member or not, what would you tell them in the many benefits of becoming a member?
Many, many benefits. I won't be colorful for this conversation because I can usually say, in truthfulness, a lot of people join the young professionals, which are 21 through 40. A lot of people join looking for a partner or a spouse. It's no secret. And I've always said over the years is that person who you may not speak to in the club because they're popping bottles or they're ganged up with their girls and you can't get a word in edgewise, when you see them volunteering, when you see them really giving of themselves, all of a sudden they become much more attractive. And then that's a benefit. And I joke about that, but in seriousness, but it also is just, aligning yourself with a mission greater than you. A lot of us as faith-based people or spiritual people know that there is a bigger source, there's a bigger universe. The Urban League movement, in my belief, plays into that. It's just as far as moving all of our greatest potential along. The Urban League is the oldest direct services-based organization. We always wanted people to reach their highest self. That movement continues to this day, and the YPs allow you to be a higher person. YP is the only place you can come in off the street and get exposed to high potential training. Some of us in our jobs, we don't get that until we get into the upper room, as I like to say. And it takes us 10, 15 years to get that certain manager title before they start exposing us to 7 habits of highly effective people. Well, guess what? With YP, you get that early on with project management, with learning how to fundraise. So if you like Celebrity Apprentice, when you become a member of the Urban League Young Professionals Movement, you become a YP apprentice. Sometimes you can sit in the back and just listen and learn and find your space, but if you really have a passion to get involved, we'll give you that. Sometimes the benefits aren't so tangible, where it's not, a discount here or something. It's access. We put you in the room with people. Once we get you in the room with people, we need you to network and work. There's scripture. Proverbs 19:17 says that a man who gives to God or lends to the poor is actually giving to God, and God is going to return his investment.
The law of the universe, almost.
Given it shall be given unto
For
you,
sure.
or whatever you extend to someone else will be ultimately extended to you. So outside of all of those tangible benefits that people get, I do know that that's the benefit. That if your intention is to help someone else,
Right.
if your intention is to sow a seed where you have a need, I know it will return to you. Last piece on that is that, I like to say, if you're not a member of the Urban League Young Professionals Movement, you are out of your league. If you're not connected to history, if you're not an advocate for your community, if you're not empowering communities, and if you're not changing lives, you are out of your league.
Are you going to stick around for the panels this afternoon?
Absolutely. This is an all-day event. It's on a Saturday. I wouldn't have it any other way. I'm with Creme Magazine and Wave 45. And you know what? I know that if I'm obedient, I'll say that. And I hope all the listeners can receive that. If I'm obedient and show up where I'm supposed to be here on Saturday at JP Morgan Chase, there's going to be a miracle in store, and there's going to be something that happens that's going to spiritually benefit me, and which all translates into professionalism and translate into total life prosperity.
Rahshib Thomas, thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you so very much.
You the man.
Thank you.
All right.